This is the occasion where you go back and hit the big barrel.
Let's see if he can. Drop punt. He's given it a barrel. He's given it a big one. It's a ride. It's a goal. A beautiful kick. He salutes the crowd, kisses his brother, and levels the scores.
The Jacko show. He's back in town. Well, you can criticise him all you like.
Gave little brother a big smack on the lips.
The Glen that I played with in the backyard would appreciate that. Also, the Glen in the backyard wouldn't have ever had a crack at me because he would have ended up on his back. Right. That goes without saying. So I think that would have been in the back of his head too, but we both look back at it with fond memories. I never set out to do that. It was just a spare of the moment thing. If you like, I couldn't tell you what Glen was doing on the mark or what he was saying, but if you ever watch that movie, The Exorcist, when that young girl's possessed on the bed,
yep,
and she's saying all sorts of things to the priest that's trying to exercise her, if you like.
Yep.
Well, yeah, I frightened the hell out of Glen when he was younger with that movie. I think I introduced him to that movie, and he had to sleep for at least 3 months with the light on. Anyway, it used to be a bit of a running gag. I think my first shot there, we were 3 points behind. Glen was standing on the mark, saying all these things, like from The Exorcist. Like I missed, I kicked a point, and I think that brought us back to 3 points behind. I remember Johnny Warsfold kicking the ball out. It might have been Guy McKenna. One of the two went to kick it over my head and sort of stabbed at it a bit, and before I knew it, the ball was back in my hands in that exact same spot. And Glen had peeled off, I think, the chase. Might have been Earl Spalding, I think, that was running off or chasing him. And then as soon as he'd seen the ball back in my hands, Glen ran back and took over the mark. And then he started with The Exorcist again, and yelling out these expletives. And if you closely look on the replay, you can see Jimmy Steins with his hands on his hips, and he was really looking at what Glen was saying and just shaking his head. He walks away shaking his head. And anyway, I don't know how that ball found the middle of my boot and consequently went through the middle of the goals, and that sort of drew us in front. And I think I said something else like what the priest might have said to the young girl in that movie, and planted one, and that was it. But the funniest thing about that was after the game, and Jimmy Stein, and I remember him walking up to me and just in that rich Irish accent just saying, "What the hell was your brother saying to you, mate? What the hell was that? What sort of family are you?" I couldn't breathe. I think a little bit of wee might have came out in my cow, and I was hunched over, and I couldn't even look at him. I couldn't speak to him, and I couldn't even breathe. I was laughing that hard. But Jimmy was pretty serious, and he started reciting some of that Exorcist and saying, "What is this all about? How did your parents raise you?" You know, and saying this sort of stuff. So it was quite funny, and and it all ended in tears, if you like, because I remember getting through the hustle and bustle there at the G, making sure I went over and linked up with Glen. I got him, he was ready. We found Mum, and off we went through the crowd. And I remember driving through the city, and Mum was sitting in the front seat next to me. I was driving, Glen was in the back seat, and we laughed. We laughed all the way until things went pretty quiet. And I mean, I was concentrating on the traffic, and I sort of thought it's a bit quiet. And I looked up, and there was Mum just sort of bawling her eyes out quietly, you know. And I think, you know, we all thought about Dad at that time. And I looked in the rearview mirror, and there was Glen bawling his eyes out, you know. So not another word was said for that last 3 or 4 kilometres. We all had tears sort of rolling down our face. And, yeah, what a great day. And that's how that day finished for us. So we went back to my house and continued to have a bit of a laugh about the day. And we didn't say too much as far as what the tears were all about. But we all knew it was for Dad. And yeah, it was just one of those things.